My plan started in 2006. We have been nominated for the South African Manager of the Year for 4 consecutive years. My plan won the Manager of the Year in 2019 and came second in 2020 and 2021 and third in 2018. In the City Wire awards last year, my plan was the only manager who won 2 awards in different categories. That was the bond and the flexible mixed assets categories. My plan has also won Raging Bull Awards for its funds for 7 years in a row. Financial advisors don't pay a fee for using the tools in my plan's toolbox. My plan has quite a few tools in the toolbox, one of them being the financial planning software. So there's quite a few tools available to financial planners these days. The main feature that sets my plan apart is that it tells the advisor how to structure a client's investment based on the needs and objectives of a client. The second tool is my plan's online client management software. This is called My Gateway. Other than being a manager of unit trust funds, my plan also manages model portfolios. Some models are available to all financial planners, while my plan also manages bespoke or personalized model portfolios for the exclusive use of various brokerages. My Gateway is the primary portal for information pertaining to model portfolios. The useful feature of My Gateway is that it is a protected site to store clients' FICA information. You can download a list of all clients to check that everything is up to date. This is very useful from a compliance point of view. All information regarding model portfolios is available in the Documents tab. There are 3 model portfolio ranges that are available to all financial planners. They are the Inflation Plus model portfolios, the low-cost model portfolios, which charge the lowest discretionary management fees in the market, and the offshore dollar global model portfolios. For each model portfolio range, there is information like newsletters, fact sheets, investment committee meeting reports, and brochures, which financial advisors use when explaining the benefits of model portfolios to their clients. The third tool is my plan's mobile app, which is called the My Investment Planner. This is an app that someone will install on their cell phone. They will complete their details and include what their financial goal is. This information is then sent to a financial planner who will analyze the information and make recommendations on how to achieve the objective. So going back to the financial planning software, I'm going to do a few examples to illustrate what my plan does in terms of optimizing a client's investment based on their needs and personal circumstances. So what I've got here is an extract from the software where a client has a living annuity of 5.3 million and they're going to be drawing an annual income of 200,000. From a visual point of view, my plan creates graphs that contain certain information. The various colors in this graph represent different categories into which the capital is going to be divided into. The pink area at the top of the graph represents the amount of capital that's going to be going into the cash category. This is just the name of the category. In that category are various options to choose from, like money market funds and income funds. The light gray area at the bottom of the graph represents the amount that is going to be going into the long-term growth category. Since the income is a relatively small percentage of the capital in this case, only a small amount of capital will be going into the cash category. As a result, there is a relatively high percentage of capital going into the long-term growth category due to how long the investment is going to last. In fact, there is still going to be approximately 2 million capital left at the age of 100. In the tables that my plan generates, you can see the different values and percentages that have been allocated to the different categories. The categories are cash, inflation plus 3, inflation plus 5, inflation plus 7, and long-term growth. So these categories were designed to match the time required to achieve a real return objective. For example, in order to achieve a return of inflation plus 7%, A minimum of 7 years is required. In this case, where the client is drawing an annual income of 200,000, my plan has allocated 6.07% into the cash category and 64% into the long-term growth category. You could see that drawing an income of only 200,000 meant that the capital was lasting longer than necessary. So let's see what happens if you increase the income to 240,000. Well, there is a calculator function in my plan that allows you to solve for certain things like what contributions are required for a chosen income to last up until a certain age, or based on the capital accumulated, what income can a client afford to draw for the capital to last until a particular age. It's a useful feature in that it's not necessary to go through a process of trial and error. So here we can see I've increased the annual income to 240,000. Here we can see how the income is not lasting as long anymore. We can see that the amount of capital going into the cash category has increased marginally. Amount of money going into the long-term growth category, the light gray at the bottom, has decreased marginally. See how we can see 7.3% into cash. That used to be 6.07% when we were drawing 200,000. 57% into long-term growth. That used to be 64%. I'm pleased to say that the process and philosophy that my plan is based on is in line with what was discussed in a paper that was published by the FPI and FIA in 2021. It's a long document, 51 pages, but worth a read. The focus of the paper was regarding how financial planners do risk profiling when giving investment advice. There were 12 authors, some being well-known faces in the financial planning industry. So the paper goes into a lot of detail, but the overall theme is that the traditional definitions of a client's risk profiles are obsolete. The work group agreed that the traditional definitions of a client's risk profile is abstract, vague, and subjective. They mean different things to different people. Classifying an investor as conservative, moderate, or aggressive is obsolete. Establishing a client's needs is a requirement in terms of phase, so what's important is that the advice is based on what the client's needs are, not the results of a risk profiling questionnaire. The most important thing that I took from this paper is that it's possible for an investor to have more than one risk profile. And I'm pleased to say that my plan agrees. From the examples I showed of the software, my plan divided the client's investments into more than one risk category based on their term and income requirements. This table is an extract from the paper, and the original source was from Morningstar. It shows how the investment term needs to increase as the targeted return in the categories increases. These tables are extracts from my plan. The top one practically mirrors the table in the paper. The second table illustrates how my plan has divided the investment into these categories. It takes the guesswork out of how to structure a client's investment, and this gives financial planners peace of mind. This is an extract from the slides of a workshop that Matthew Lester gave in 2016 for the Financial Planning Institute. He was illustrating how an investment should be divided into multiple sub-portfolios based on the income, time horizon, and goals. The paper says that an advisor can use any preferred fund or solution as a portfolio as a solution, provided the portfolio solution can be matched back to the appropriate CISA category for the real return required. This slide is from the example where the client is drawing an annual income of 240,000 from the living annuity worth 5.3 million. The software has divided the capital into the various targeted return categories, which are linked to the CISA categories. In my plan, advisors can choose from a list of funds in each category, as well as the model portfolios or a combination. The great thing about the model portfolios is that they have been designed in a way that the targeted return is matched with the term required to achieve the return, and they fit into the respective ASISA categories. This, as well as the fact that they are actively managed, gives advisors peace of mind, since it's not necessary for advisors to determine how much needs to go into each category, nor which funds to choose from in the categories. In this slide, you can see the underlying holdings in the Inflation Plus 627 model portfolio. This slide indicates the underlying fund holdings in the low-cost balanced model portfolio. The reports which are given to investors also illustrates this very nicely. This table illustrates how the 5.3 million has been divided into the different models or funds. And this slide illustrates that for the Inflation Plus 7 category, the Inflation Plus 627 model portfolio has been chosen, and what the underlying funds are in the Inflation Plus 627 model portfolio. The streamlined process not only means that investors' capital is managed more efficiently, it means that financial advisors have more time to focus on giving holistic financial advice. Other than containing the details of the recommendation and advice that is being given to the client, the illustration reports also contain information such as product disclosures that are required in a record of advice. The investment summary report provides a summary of the various products that the client has. In this example, the investor has a living annuity, an endowment, and a flexible investment savings product. The report consolidates things like the total capital, income and asset allocation, and expected tax. If you're looking for a more detailed illustration of how the tax was calculated, there's the option to include revenue breakdown reports and total net receipt tables. Possibly the most useful feature of the MyPlan software is the review wizard and the review reports which are generated. On an annual basis, the software will give a reminder that a review for a particular client is coming up. The review wizard then guides the financial planner through a series of screens, which ultimately results in a recommendation as to how to rebalance an investment if necessary, so that the investment is always optimized. This information is clearly and simply illustrated in the review reports. So all reports in MyPlan are available in English and in Afrikaans. So in summary, MyPlan is an all-in-one solution for financial planners and brokerages of any size. The various tools which are available at no fee reduce the compliance and administration burden dramatically.